Quickly tell you about Restrepo, which is this documentary set in Afghanistan's Korangal Valley, in which basically what happens is you've got a group of soldiers in this valley, and the documentary is shot incredibly sort of up close and personal. The Tim Hetherington and Sebastian Younger, the people who made it, are right in there with them. What happens at the very beginning of the film is we're introduced to this character, Dr. Restrepo. He loses his life very, very early on, and they then have to set up an encampment, which they then refer to as Restrepo, in honour of their fallen friend. And what you have is this really quite extraordinary portrait of a group of people in a circumstance which is genuinely terrifying and seems to be playing out right in front of you. Done, as I said, in very, very close contact documentary filmmaking that seems to be unobtrusive and seems to catch them really as they are. And I was talking before about the Oliver Stone film Platoon, in which the central idea of it is that when you're in that situation, it's not the global effect of the situation, it's to do with the people with you, it's to do with a group of people banding together in terrifying circumstances. And what you get from this is, on the one hand, you see an extraordinary ground's eye view of that kind of conflict. So they are meeting with the local elders and attempting to win over their hearts and minds, but actually fighting a losing battle. You see helicopters going overhead, and there's this really stark contrast between what it must be like being in a helicopter and what it's like being down on the ground. You see them getting involved in and the aftermath of terrible skirmishes in which they are under fire in ways which are genuinely terrifying, and there is horrifying loss of life. And what you get from it is, firstly, this portrait of people who are incredibly young under circumstances which are just unimaginable. Also, something which seems to be very honest about it. It doesn't seem to be mediated. It's not like news reports about these kind of things. What you get is a real. I mean, people have described it to some extent as being like a real life hurt locker, but that actually lends an air of artifice to it, which I think is unfair to the project. You come out of it feeling that you've genuinely witnessed some extraordinary events with nothing but admiration for the people in these circumstances, these incredibly young people in these mind-boggling circumstances. It's quite a tough watch. I mean, it's genuinely sort of fairly grueling. And it does give you that sense that if this is what it's like, even observing this kind of, this kind of interaction, it's unimaginable what it must be like in being in it. Now, the piece is interspersed with interviews in which the soldiers talk about their experiences later on. And one of the things that they say is, the problem is nobody knows what to do with us because we've been through these really unbelievable experiences. This all sort of recalls to some extent, Vietnam. And now people don't know what to do with it. There is a point to the film, which is you have to find some way of dealing with people that have been through these appalling circumstances. But as a piece of documentary filmmaking, it was really quite astonishing. And it's had a lot of plaudits, and justifiably so. It's a really very, very interesting piece. And I would say it is probably Film of the Week.